Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Soul Talks with Alka. Today, I have a beautiful girl with me, someone who I love with all my heart, and she's very, very special to me. She's opening up on a topic that may not be so easy for a lot of people to open up for. So I am very proud to present Nilika Gulati. Nilika, welcome to my show.
Thank you.
So Nilika, you grew up and you never really saw your dad.
No.
Right? Your dad, you don't know who he is. You don't have any idea who your father is.
No. So I grew up with my single mother, and the last time I saw my father, I think I was only 4 years old. And basically the reason being, he kind of abandoned us because him and his family wanted a son, but when they realized they had a daughter, they just kind of left. So I haven't seen him since then.
And so when you're growing up as a child, right? And you're growing up and there are times where people say, okay, where's your dad?
Mm-hmm.
What did you go through as a child? Did you ever wonder, well, is my dad thinking about me? Does he miss me? Why did he do it? You know, all those things which are natural for anybody.
So growing up, I would always just wonder, how can you have a child in this world and never really try to contact them, especially in a world where we live, where everyone's a Google search away. You could literally Google anybody you want, Facebook them and find them. And yeah, I have found his Facebook profile too. So I used to always wonder, why can't he just do the same with me? And in regards to people asking me where your dad is, as a kid, I would always just say, oh yeah, I would just make stories up, he's at work, blah, blah, blah. But then as I got older, I realized that it's not uncommon to, be the daughter of a single mom. It's not uncommon to be raised without a father. So then I started to slowly understand it and just be more open about it, that, okay, my mom's divorced. No, I haven't seen my father because, we haven't done anything wrong. So why should I hide anything?
That's right. So when did that realization come to you that, it's not you who is at fault. It's your dad that walked away from responsibility. When did that realization come about?
So I think it's a buildup of just growing up and watching my mom struggle, handling so many jobs, just seeing her work so hard. I was like, this isn't something I should be hiding or be ashamed of. This is something I'm actually proud of. I'm so proud of my mom being able to do double the work, the work of a husband and a wife,
right,
to be able to raise me. So that's when I realized, I'm proud of it, and I'm proud of my mom.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And you have a really cute relationship with your mom.
Oh, yeah.
But there are struggles with that, right? There are doubts with that. There are things that did you ever see your mom cry about it? Did you ever say, hey, mom, I'm here for you? Because you're going through as a teenager, you're going through different phases.
Yeah.
How did you console your mom? And then how do you console yourself?
So my mom is the type of person, her, she's very private. If she ever cried, she never cried in front of me. And I think me and my mom, obviously we fight like sisters, but what's helped us get through this is we're both just very honest with each other. And the most important factor that helped me not remember my dad or, not think about him was having a really loving family. My family, I'm sure you've met some of them, but we're always there for each other. My grandpa, he's a father figure in my life. My uncle, my uncles, my aunt's husbands, they're always there for me whenever I need. And just having a really loving family, it just made all that go away. Even for my mom, if me and my mom have a fight, for example, and I need somebody to talk to, right away I call my grandparents. So it's not like I'm missing something.
Right.
Even with my mom, she complains to her sisters or her parents. So we always have somebody, and I think that's why it's important to have a loving family and just be there for each other.
So when there are kids who say, you know what, I didn't have this, so I resorted to drugs or I resorted to alcohol. But you are a valedictorian of your class, right? Now you're a dentist.
Yeah.
What made you excel in every part of your life instead of making an excuse and saying, you know what, I have a reason to fail. But what made you succeed?
So there's many factors. Obviously, I have made mistakes in my life, and I have upset my mom.
You're not perfect?
No, I'm not. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's not. Oh man.
I'm sorry. Sorry to disappoint. But the main thing is that I grew from those mistakes, and instead of dwelling more into, resorting more to bad things, I used to look at my mom, like every time I was on the verge of doing something that I know wouldn't be right for me, I would just think of all the sacrifices my mom has made in her life, and just, the consequences of the action that I'm about to do. So once I realized that, it kind of it was like a magnet. Like I would try to, go forward and do those things, but I would be pushed back because in my head I knew there's my family who would be disappointed, my mom, because for her, like I'm the only person there for her.
Right.
So if I'm,
she has everything, like you're her everything.
Yeah.
Right? So all of her, she's working hard, she's doing everything for you, but a lot of people, a lot of kids of single parents don't think that, right? They go and they blame their mom. Yeah. They'll say, why didn't you? Why me? Why this? Why? How did you take that why away?
I think my family also comes into play then, because being the oldest cousin of my generation, I know that my aunts always say like, oh, your cousins are looking up to you, Now all of a sudden everyone wants to be a dentist. So,
so you created the trend in your family.
Yeah, so just thinking back to my family, I think because we have such a united family, I think that's what made me stop and realize. I think for other people who resort to things that aren't good for them, I think they're either not so united with their families, or they just don't think about the consequences that their actions are going to have. So I think just, taking a minute before, also a good group of friends. I think friends can influence you in the worst ways or the best ways.
So they say that you are the sum of the 5 closest people around you. So be careful who your friends are, because they can make a difference in what you're thinking.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And now I'm thinking about how you said, I'm thinking about some people who did resort to bad actions, and they were influenced by their group of friends, which is totally different. I was very lucky that I've always had a group of friends who prioritize studying academics. Most of my friends are in medical school, so I've always shared the same goals with my friends. And I think that's a major factor that played into my going into dentistry or going into a good field.
So they say that, when you don't have a father figure in your life, even though your grandfather was a father, but when you don't have a dad, right, that your relationships are harder when it comes to males, right? Did you find that you have a harder time trusting male figures, right? Because it's natural, right? The main male figure, you have not gotten. So do you see yourself saying, you don't trust males?
Yeah, so I've always had this problem. I have a lot of trust issues when it comes to male relationships, and my mom's always warned me, because she's been through her past, so she's always warned me about this. But as much as I try not to, think of my mom like, oh, mom, it's none of your business, like in my head or somewhere, the way I grew up, it's just, I have a hard time trusting people. So that's why.
So you have a hard time trusting males?
Males, yeah.
Okay. And so how do you get over that? Or how do you talk to yourself? Or what are some of the questions that you have when you're talking to the guys to say, trying to weed them out, because those are important, right? That's what's affected you.
Yeah.
So do you have a dialogue with people, or what do you do?
So that's something I need to work on, because I'm actually a really timid and shy person.
Really?
Not in front of you.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
To males.
Oh, to males, okay.
So I've never had, I'm never comfortable enough to have the dialogue, because I don't know where to start. So a part of me is just really passive in that I just expect them to, say things, and I'll just wait, and then it never happens. So
have you ever thought of seeing a therapist for that? To go to a therapist to say, how do I? Because you don't want to get into a relationship where, somebody takes advantage of you, because you have not seen a strong male figure.
Yeah.
Have you thought of ever going to a therapist?
I've never thought about it, because for so many years, I've just been in school and studying has been my life, so I've never really focused too much on that aspect. And even still, like, you know, I guess I just expect the right guy to just come into my life, like a Bollywood movie. I know I'm a hopeless romantic, but that's why I never really thought about it.
Yeah.
Because I just expect
Which
it
is
to
fine.
find me.
A lot of people, most of us don't think of therapy as an answer,
Yeah.
right? But before interviewing you, I was reading about that, right? And that they said that a lot of people have that issue, and even who haven't gone through it, we have issues, right? Of trust. Once you have a bad experience, you have a trust issue, right? So what is it that you do, or what is it that you talk to your mom about it? Do you both sit down and have that relationship and say, okay, you know what? What is it? Is your mom overly cautious and overly protective of you?
So she used to be very, very cautious, you know, especially when I was like a teenager. And we're very open with each other. So, you know, like I tell her everything. So I tell her like, okay, this is what's going on. And she'll basically guide me through it. But now I think I'm at that age where I kind of just ignore the advice that I want to ignore. But yeah, like she does guide me, and she's very helpful. Even though I don't listen to her half the time, and then I realize I should have.
But so when you are ignoring the advice that you want to ignore, how do you make sure that you're going on the right path and not going on the wrong path? Because that's very important for kids, right? All children actually, ignore the advice they want to ignore.
Yes.
But how do you know which is the right advice?
Well, in my head, I think, we all know technically kind of what's right and what's wrong. But for me, I just want to learn from my own mistakes. So knowing the difference between right and wrong, I think, comes from being brought up or being raised in an environment where values and just, you know, morals are really, really important. So I always factor in, you know, there's also a generational gap.
Right.
So sometimes I would ask my friends for advice. And as I said, like, my friends are a group of people I can trust. But other than that, I've been raised with a lot of, like, my mom's always put a lot of importance to values and morals. So it's always been in the back of my mind. And even though I choose to ignore her, like, in my head, I think I know the difference between right or wrong.
That little bird speaks to you?
That little bird speaks to me, yeah. But other than that, I think just it's important to, whether it's a friend or a male relationship, I feel like it's so important to know the person and, you know, without jumping into anything, it's so important to talk to them. And make sure they share the same goals with you. Make sure they also have the same morals and values as you do. Because I think, well, for me, luckily, I'm a very instinctive person. So I've been able to tell, you know, whether I should be friends with that person or, you know, continue talking to this person.
So as you're growing up, do you ever talk to your mom and say, Mom, I want to talk to my dad? Mom, I want to... You said you looked up his profile, right?
Yeah.
So did you ever want to reach out to him and say, hey, you know what? You abandoned me and now I'm a dentist and look what you missed out on? Or so, like, kind of rub it in his face, so to speak.
Growing up, a part of me has always wanted him to see that, hey, look, I'm here. I'm becoming a dentist. We've made it without you. But I've never, you know, talked to my mom or said, like, I want to see him, like, because I've genuinely I'm not interested in seeing him because he's made no contribution in my life. And I don't know if I've told my friends, like, I want to change my last name because if I become a doctor, I'm going to be Dr. Gulati, but it's his last name and I don't want to be known as that because he's had no contribution. So I do want him to see that we've succeeded, we've made it without him, without his help at all. And my mom also never took child support. So growing up, when I learned about what child support is, I was like, Mom, like, I want you to take this, you know, because he shouldn't just get away with what he's done. I want you to
take the money from him.
Yeah, to make him realize that, hey, we're here. Like, you can't do this. But then now I understand what my mom used to say. She said, I don't want any connection with him. I don't want the chances of him getting custody of you. So now all those things factor in, and now I understand my mom's perspective, and that makes me even more proud of what she's done. Like, without any greed for money, she just wanted me.
Yeah, so she wanted to make sure that because there is a connection, right? If he's giving you money, then there is a connection. But she didn't want that connection. Yeah, because she wanted it to. So you never wanted to reach out to him?
I never wanted to reach out to him. And even now, like, I know his, I could reach out to him any second, but I just don't want to.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he knows, like, it's Facebook. I'm sure he knows what I'm up to, like, so I honestly don't care.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And what is it, the feeling of pride that you must get, right? When you got your certificate in high school, and then when you got your diploma from dentistry school, how did that make you feel, especially for your mom, right?
Yeah.
A part of your achievement is for you, and part of it is for your mother.
Yeah. So every occasion, all my family lives in Australia. Over here, I have one aunt and my uncle and my cousins and my mother. And a lot of people for graduation, they'd give us 10 tickets for family members. And a lot of people would need more tickets, like, hey, can I borrow a ticket from you? I have more family. And with me, like, I'd always have extra tickets because, I only have them. But just seeing their faces in the audience just made me so happy, because in many events, my mom was the only one there, and I know once I saw her from stage, I don't know if it was high school graduation, but she was like smiling and clapping all by herself, and like she was tearing up, and that just made me feel so proud of her, because, people have 20 family members come to their graduation, and I only had her. But just walking on that stage and knowing that she's there for me, it was a great feeling.
That's awesome. I'm also tearing up. So what is your moment, like when you were bonding, right? Does your dad's subject ever come up when you both are talking about it? Or talking about anything in life, your wedding and walking you down the aisle, right? Every girl pictures that.
Yeah.
Does that ever come up in your...
So I feel really blessed because, at Nita Didi's wedding, when we were at the wedding, not even once, I never thought of that, but I would just think of all my other family members. Like, I'd tell my mom, like, when I get married, my uncle is going to walk me down the aisle, and then my grandpa is going to be there for me. So I think mentally, I'm just automatically replacing my dad with more important, like, my family members who've always been there for me. So I think their love is what just made me forget about everything.
Right. So it's not a father.
Yeah.
That is important.
Yeah.
It's a father figure that's important.
Yeah.
And when we attach value to a dad versus a person who's actually taking the responsibility of a father, that's more important.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you have to give advice to someone who doesn't have a father figure role because the dad has passed away, or they've been given up for adoption, or they have been abandoned.
Yeah.
What are 3 things that you would say to someone? Say, you know what? How can you emerge?
So first of all, I want to say that I know what it feels like. If you want to go, for example, for me, if I want to go out somewhere, or I just think if I'm going to get married and, what's going to happen to my mom, she's going to be by herself. There's going to be nobody with her. There's going to be tough times, and I'm sure they're all dealing with it. But just know that things get better. You just have to know what your goals are. Just know that just believe in God. Know that things will get better. Think about your family and think about all the sacrifices, whether it's your mom or your dad, they've done for you. Just keep them in mind, because I promise you, like, if you think about doing anything wrong and you just think of them in your head, you're not going to want to do that. And third, I'd say just try to be happy and optimistic in life, because me and my mom, we're always like laughing, right? Even in school, I've had days where I would cry myself to sleep. I don't know why, I would just cry and like wake up crying, but I would go to school and just be normally happy, and I think that's been such a big factor. Just even pretending you're happy makes you a happy person. Nice. So just put a smile on your face and just know that it's going to get better, and just live your life smashing every goal you have.
That's awesome. and this little girl has smashed every goal that she's had. She's a dentist, so I actually should call you Dr. Nilika. I'm so sorry, my intro was wrong.
No, so May 2021. May 2021. That's
May 2021, she will be Dr. Nilika Gulati.
Yeah.
But right now I have pre-Dr. Nilika Gulati with us. And with that, I'd like to end this segment of Soul Talks with Alka. We both cried a little bit.
I'm trying. But then we laughed.
But this is the relationship that we have. So with this, I want to thank Nilika and say thank you so much. If you liked what you heard, please like it, share it, and subscribe. But more than that, send blessings Nilika's way. Thank you so much, and tune in again for another episode of Soul Talks with Alka.